Welcome, compadres. Welcome to Due Date, the true legend of Dusty Cantina, gunslinger, librarian. This time we're doing Chapter 2. Dusty joins a book club and drinks. Folks say the word miss hung in the air for a minute, like a red-tailed hawk taking advantage of the late afternoon updraft to spiral higher over the desert. In the corner, 4 men looked up. It were the gents from the Dry Gulch Saloon Reading Society who might slip in a hand of poker from time to time while drinking whiskey. Known more colloquially as the Dry Gulch Reading and Drinking Club, known even more colloquially as them guys over there. Miss, a quarrelsome voice, thick with tobacco juice, jeered from the back of the saloon. Someone here a miss? Yup, allowed Dusty. She seemed as worried about the opinionated geezer as she was about the rot gut she was calmly swallowing. Which is to say, not a bit. This is a saloon, insisted the opinionated geezer. Only misses in saloons are whores. What about her? Dusty indicated medium mama. An awkward silence fell across the room. She's sort of the hostess of the place, offered one voice. No, I see her more as a facilitator, said another in a speculative tone. Yeah, more like some type of social director, said a third. She does run a mighty full social calendar for the place, conceded the first feller. Wears lots of hats, concluded the third again. What do you gents know, the geezer said. He turned his head, and with the air of one ready to continue an ongoing argument until the cows came home, added, Not one of you has the guts to admit that Don Diego is the only man in the whole narrative who can tame the fiery passions of Consuela, the bandit queen of California. The geezer returned his attention to Dusty, shook his head as if trying to focus, and went back to the main point. Anyways, I'm a-telling you, this is a saloon. Yup, said Dusty. And furthermore, I'm telling you, women don't come into saloons unless they're looking for trouble, insisted the geezer. And I bet you ain't even read the book. Am I right? Nope, said Dusty. You calling me a liar? The geezer rose unsteadily to his feet and let his coat fall open, revealing a well-worn holster loosely belted on his hip. Dusty seemed disinterested in this display. Instead, she took another swallow, still staring into the depths of her glass. Only by implication, friend. And Dusty emptied the glass, reached for the bottle, and poured herself another. Here now, said Honest Mike with a nervous chuckle. We don't want no trouble here, boys. He caught a glance from Dusty and made a hasty correction. Gals, boys, readers of fine literature, whatever. Shoot, I don't want no trouble from anyone. There's not enough folks left in town these days that I can't afford to have my customers shooting themselves all up to pieces all the time. "'Tain't that right, medium mama." Honest Mike pulled out a bottle and handed it to her so that she could placate the objecting gent who had such a strong opinion on the merits of Don Diego and women in saloons. "Lord knows that's true. We just got that last feller's guts out of the floorboard a few days ago. Imagine." Arguing that the locale had no influence on the narrative of Consuela, the bandit queen of California. "That was a book club meeting to remember," chimed in one of the table readers. "Discussion, drinking, and gunplay. The inside straight of book clubbing," added another voice, deep in satisfaction. "Consarn it," said another, "he deserved what he got. The narrative is totally dependent on its California locale." "Be that as it may," said Medium Mama, as she delivered a bottle to the feller who was most peeved by Dusty, whose name was Seymour Seamless, "you just take this and shut your trap. Let the lady drink in peace." Mollified by the bottle, Seymour shuffled off and took a place at the bar next to Dusty. Dusty didn't react except to pour herself another drink and study it thoughtfully. "You be careful with that liquor, miss," sneered Seymour. "That's a man's drink you got in your hand." Saying nothing, Dusty downed the whiskey in her glass and poured herself another. The other three men marked their place in their well-thumbed copies of Consuela, the bandit queen of California, and hooted. "Look at that, Seymour. She done challenged you to a good old-fashioned dry gulch saloon literary society drinking contest," chortled one. "No confounded female is going to try and outdrink me," Seymour snorted. With a hasty shrug, he shed his faded coat onto the floor and began rolling up his sleeves. "Seems like I'm not the only one needing an education here, miss," he sneered. "And you fellers need to appreciate the fine and manly qualities of Don Diego as a suitor for the hand of Consuela, bandit queen of California." And here he paused to draw another breath. "And it's time I taught this, miss, how a real man drinks." For emphasis, he scratched his armpit in a manly way. With no further fanfare, Seymour picked up the bottle and started guzzling directly from it. Rotgut dribbled out the side of his mouth as he tipped his head back. Beneath his scrabbly beard, his Adam's apple worked furiously up and down. The readers at the table cheered, and everyone watched in something approaching awe as he poured the remainder of the booze straight into his prodigious gullet. Except Dusty. She was seeming not to have noticed him, and was gazing at the liquid in her glass with the intensity of a 2-bit fortune teller on the midway of some 3-bit circus, as if the rot gut were a crystal ball and she were about to predict a sailor was going on a 4-month sea voyage. With a flourish and a roar of triumph, Seymour emptied the bottle. He flung it with a thunk, not a shatter, against an innocent wall. The table readers cheered, and Don Diego is the only one worthy of her hand, Seymour added. Dusty looked up from her glass. Seymour met her steely gaze with a pair of eyes like runny eggs. Sweat was already beading over his unwashed face, and his knees were already beginning to wobble. "Wait for it," she said softly, almost to herself. Seymour hiccuped, with enough force to make him stagger. Then, with a resounding belch, he fell to the floor. In the silence that followed his collapse, Dusty lifted her glass and said with quiet conviction, "And Don Diego is an ass." Folks say that was the first time that anyone had ever drunk old Seymour under the table. But truth be told, no one had ever looked under there for a spell, so I can't rightly say if it's true. What I do know, and will swear to it, is that when the book club finished its meeting, it was just Dusty Cantina, the one who was there at the end, sipping her whiskey at the bar, not under it. And for that matter, that Don Diego character is an ass, not worthy of the hand of the fiery Consuela, Bandit Queen of California. Not even worth licking her boots, I reckon. Well, that's it for this episode of Due Date, the true legend of Dusty Cantina, gunslinger librarian. This episode was written by Dan McLaughlin and Margaret Elin Schmidt, read by Dan McLaughlin, and produced by Dan McLaughlin and all the fine folk at Totally Honest Productions. That's it for this episode. Be sure to like us wherever you find us, and see you next time. Bye-bye.